5 weeks ago, this team didn't even have a single win. Now, they're sitting in the playoffs as the number 3 seed. That kind of turnaround doesn't just happen by luck, it happens when a driver refuses to stay where everyone expects him to be. And that driver is Shane van Gisbergen. When asked how surreal it all felt, Shane didn't talk about himself first. He pointed to the people around him. He thanked the crew, the engineers, the entire group that kept building week after week. But then he made one thing clear: this progress wasn't enough. He wants more. He wants to keep improving on ovals, and he wants to prove every doubter wrong. That's the part that has the NASCAR garage paying attention. Because Shane van Gisbergen has done something nobody expected this quickly. He hasn't just adapted, he's transformed, and in the process, he's shaken the entire narrative around his future in NASCAR. At the start of the season, everyone knew exactly what he could do on road courses. That was never the question. His reputation had already been built on precision, discipline, and elite-level racecraft. He arrived with a resume that most drivers could only dream of, and he wasted no time proving why. He matched the legendary streak of Jeff Gordon for consecutive road course victories and dominated nearly every technical layout on the schedule. 5 wins in 6 road races. It wasn't just impressive, it was overwhelming. On those tracks, he wasn't racing against the field. He was racing in a different category altogether. But the real story wasn't on road courses. It was on the ovals. That was supposed to be his weakness, his kryptonite, the one area where reality would humble him. NASCAR insiders believed that while he could shine on road courses, the ovals would expose him. And that concern wasn't small. Out of 36 races, only 6 were road courses. The remaining 30, ovals. 30 high-speed battlegrounds where timing, traffic, and instinct matter just as much as talent. If Shane couldn't figure those out, he'd remain a specialist instead of a true championship threat. That was the expectation. But Shane had no intention of accepting that label. After his win in Mexico City, he made his mindset clear. He wasn't here to run at the back on ovals. He admitted it would take time, but he refused to use excuses. No soft landing, no panic. Just steady work. And that's exactly what followed. When the oval heavy stretch began, the learning curve hit hard. His first 14 oval races were brutal. He averaged a 26th place finish. For any rookie, that would be rough. For a 3-time Supercars champion, it was a shock. In several early starts, he finished deep in the field. His team hovered near the bottom of the standings. For someone used to fighting for titles, this was unfamiliar territory. And it wasn't just Shane adjusting. His crew chief, Stephen Doran, was also relatively new at the Cup Series level. That meant both driver and team leader were learning together, trying to solve one of the toughest challenges in motorsports in real time. Nothing felt natural. The cars were heavier, the speeds were higher, the grip behaved differently. Every corner demanded a new kind of confidence. Shane later admitted he often felt overwhelmed like a deer in headlights. But then, something changed. Around mid-season, the signs of progress started to appear. Over the next stretch of oval races, his average finish improved significantly. The numbers alone might not have looked dramatic to casual fans, but inside NASCAR, shaving multiple positions off your average in a short period is a major step. It showed adaptation. Shane was studying relentlessly, reviewing data, analyzing every lap, talking with veteran drivers, and asking questions beyond what anyone expected from a rookie. He wanted to understand every variable: airflow, tire behavior, dirty air, entry angles, track banking, lane choices. Nothing was left untouched. Then came the breakthrough. At Kansas Speedway, Shane delivered his first top 1-0 finish on a traditional oval. That result mattered far beyond the final standings. It was proof that the process was working. proof that the road course star was evolving into something much bigger. And the garage noticed. His teammate Ross Chastain saw it immediately. Other drivers did too. This was no longer a novelty story. This was a serious progression. Even Bubba Wallace had been tracking Shane's development all season. Earlier in the year, Bubba jokingly told him that if Shane ever outqualified him on an oval, he'd retire. Then it happened. At New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Shane started ahead of Bubba. The joke became reality, and Bubba publicly admitted he was impressed. Behind the humor was genuine respect, because everyone in NASCAR could see what was happening. Shane wasn't just surviving on ovals anymore. He was improving at a pace few expected. Over his final oval races of the season, his performances became increasingly consistent. Top 1-5 runs, stronger second visits to tracks, smarter race management. He was learning the rhythm. And perhaps most importantly, he was embracing the challenge. At tracks like Las Vegas Motor Speedway, he described the insane feeling of entering corners at nearly 200 miles per hour, intentionally missing the apex, drifting toward the wall, and trusting the car to hold. That technique, known as ripping the fence, became one of the biggest symbols of his growth. It's dangerous, technical, and mentally demanding. And Shane loved it. By season's end, the results told the full story. 5 wins, a playoff appearance, 12th in championship standings, Rookie of the Year honors at age 36, more than 300 laps led, multiple poles, multiple stage wins, nearly every lap completed. Those are not ordinary rookie numbers. Those are contender numbers. What surprised Shane most wasn't how difficult NASCAR was. It was how much he enjoyed the grind. The long season, the consistency, the pressure, the challenge of adapting every week. And even more surprising, his favorite tracks weren't the road courses. They were the mile-and-a-half intermediates, the speed, the multiple racing lines, the changing grip levels. That became the racing style he fell in love with. And that should concern the rest of NASCAR. Because if a driver already dominant on road courses starts mastering intermediates and ovals, the ceiling becomes terrifyingly high. That's why people are nervous. Because Shane Van Gisbergen is no longer just a specialist. He's becoming a complete NASCAR threat. And if this rookie season was only the beginning, then the rest of the field may have a much bigger problem next year. Because the driver they expected to shine in 6 races is now becoming dangerous in all 36.